Hey everyone. I'm so thankful that all of you have chosen to participate in our community groups together this year. I hope that your meeting today is going really well. For our devotional time together, we're going to continue the series we started a couple of months ago called Imagine That. But before we get into our text for today, I want you, with your group, to answer a couple of questions about loud noises. Some of you may love them, some of you may hate them. But whatever the case, take a moment together as a group to discuss the questions that are on the screen for you now. What is the loudest sound you've ever heard? For me, I think it was whenever the coil on my garage door snapped. It sounded like someone had run their car into our house. Maybe you've had a similar experience before. Well, in our text today, we're going to read about the Israelites when they were crossing the Red Sea. And if you listen to that story, there are quite a few sounds that we're told about. Some of them come from within the Israelite camp, some from outside of it. Some of the sounds are the sounds that we can only imagine whenever the incredible events of that story take place. But if you'd like to follow along today, we're going to be looking at Exodus chapter 14 together. Our text today is a little long, so we won't read every verse in this section, but I'll have all of the verses we're reading together on the screen. Starting in verse 5. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said, "What have we done? We've let the Israelites go and lost their services." So he had his chariot made ready and took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites who were marching out boldly. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone? Let us serve the Egyptians?' It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all of his army, through his chariots and all of his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and the cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, "Let us get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and their left. That day the Lord saved Israel from the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shore. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him and in Moses, his servant. This story is really incredible. And as we begin to discuss in our groups, I want us to imagine the Israelites. What did they think of all of this as they arrived at and then crossed the Red Sea? And also, how did the sounds around their camp change throughout the story? Take a moment to discuss these questions on the screen with your group now. To me, the most amazing thing about this story is the way that the Israelites' cries change from that of fear to joy as they cross through the Red Sea. This is something that's only possible because of the profound trust they now have in God as He leads them to their salvation. Now let's take a moment to imagine our God. What role do we see Him play in this story? And what do the Egyptians have to say about Him, not just the children of Israel? Take a moment to discuss these questions on your screen now. God really does some amazing things in the story that we've read together today. But to me, the most awesome thing is how by the end of the story, God's power is unquestioned, both by the Israelites and the Egyptians. God works for the salvation of his people so that they can faithfully put their trust in him. It's a really incredible story. Let's take a moment to imagine our own lives as well. How does this relate to our lives? How has God shown his power to us today? And what might it look like for us to put our trust in him too? Take a moment to look at the questions on your screen. God may not part the Red Sea in our lives, but we still have plenty of reasons to trust in his power. Sometimes that's hard for us to see, but that's when we need to rely on each other to tell stories of how God has worked powerfully in our lives for those who are not seeing it in that moment. I pray that this time together today has been an opportunity for your groups to do that, to speak of God's power and to speak of the ways that He has been faithful when you've put your trust in Him. I look forward to our meetings next month. I hope that you have a great rest of your day.